My name is Melissa, and I am from Connecticut, and I was represented by Frank McCoy from McCoy McCoy in Connecticut. And I had had an accident back in 1998 in which a woman had run a stop sign and hit me. At the time, Frank knew me and said, "Let me go take some pictures of your car and look at this." And he did. In the meantime, I started to have some back discomfort in which I started to be treated for. I went through therapy for quite a few years on and off between a chiropractor, other therapy, what do you call it?
Ortho?
Yeah, I went to, but physical therapy. And the physical therapy lasted, I did on and off for about 6 months. My condition did seem to be getting worse, and it wasn't until I had insisted that the physical therapy refer me back to my doctor, to refer me to an orthopedic doctor to really look at what was going on. I had this accident in 1998. It didn't go to court until 2003. I think so. It took some time, and in between that time I went from having a physical injury in which I had pain to MRI, which actually indicated that I did have a deteriorating disc. And I went through the court with Frank, and I would have to say the most impressive thing about Frank and all that was being I know a little bit about the law. I know how huge it is to pick the right jury to sit for you, and Frank had a real intuitive sense about people and what they would bring to the jury. And he not only listened to what I had to say, and at times we differed. He thought that there were people that were good to sit on the jury that I didn't know if they'd be that great, but obviously thought that he probably knew more than me and conceded, and he had those people sit on the jury, whereas there were people I thought needed to sit on the jury, and he would tell me that for his reasons why he didn't think they were good. And most of the times, I agreed with him, but there were cases where I thought that maybe someone he was looking at differently, that I was seeing in a different light. So he did say, okay, we'll let that person sit on the jury, and in the end, I did win my case, and I did win a large settlement. So he did pick a very good jury, and he did listen to me, and he did definitely have insight into what these people would want to be told in my story, what they would need to hear. And I think between picking that actual jury and then of course his final statement that he made before the jury, I think he really managed to send the message of what was going on with me, and in the end it was a success. The office staff at McCoy McCoy were extremely helpful, diligent, even to the point where I think they probably, I was not their best client, because I wouldn't always follow through on things, and I know that sometimes they had to do a lot of digging, but they were patient, and they asked a lot of thorough questions, and were very helpful, and if I needed something from them, they were always willing to help me out and work with me. So as far as Frank goes, I mean, his demeanor and his professionalism extends throughout the entire office. Everyone there is really terrific. I did not think I initially had a case. I was hit. I was hit by someone who was running a stop sign at a significant amount of speed, but I was really at the time thinking I just need my car replaced. You're not thinking of the big picture. And then as time went on, and it looked like the insurance company was not going to settle with me for any amount of money that would have either paid for the health benefits that I had, the health bills that I had at that time, or even in the case of my car, that I was going to have to bring it to trial in order to recover some of these losses. And I wasn't, at the time, you're not thinking, because you're not feeling the injury or the impact from the accident the day after the accident, or even the month after the accident. It's months go by, and all of a sudden you notice things are different, or something starts to feel not right. And unfortunately, because the case took so long to trial for the insurance company, that I went from just having pain to having a legitimate injury in a 6-year period. So what when you're thinking immediate what you need to get done when this happens, but you really need to think long term, because things change, and the injury can be very subtle, and it, maybe even unnoticeable until you have a baby, or you start doing your exercise routines, or you have a job that requires some strain from you. Those are when you start to notice that something isn't right. And for me, it just went from a simple injury in my back to sciatica running down my legs, to a permanent disc injury being there. So if Frank had not convinced me it was something I needed to pursue, I would have walked away from this with just a replaced vehicle, possibly, and nothing else. And then I would be sitting here having to do all my medical treatments without any financial backing from the insurance company of the person who had hit me. So in the long run, it was smart of Frank to say that, you're seeing things on a very immediate basis, and I really needed to see what the long term could be. And because it took so long to get to trial, 6 years, things did go from bad to worse. And I have had to get, injections in my back for blockers for pain. I take occasionally medicine for it, and continue to try to exercise and keep my back strong, but it has never gone away. So in the end, the settlement that I received, which was substantial, it's never really enough, because I would gladly give all that money back and everything just to have my health back, just to have my back intact. I went to court because the insurance company refused to settle for an amount of money that would have covered my medical bills that I had already had at that time, and the car that I had lost in the accident. They wanted, I think initially they had offered me $4,000, and then they went up to $11,000. And at that time they'd offered the $11,000, I had already had bills exceeding $11,000, medical bills that had to be paid. So I had no choice but to go to court to try to reap, at the very least, the medical bills, which is really all I was looking for.